Hey guys, it's me. It is Tuesday, which means it is Tag Tuesday and time for another tag video. Today I'm going to be throwing it all the way back to the 80s and doing the Literary Mixtape, the 80s edition. Stick around to see what books I associate with these musical prompts. Hey y'all, it's Jen and welcome back to my channel, Inklings. Today I have a tag video for you. It is Tag Tuesday, which means it's a tag video. I just said that. Today's tag is going to be the Literary Mixtape, the 80s edition, which was created by Amy Gets Lit, and I was tagged by Amy Gets Lit. So let's dive into this music and these prompts. So our first prompt is You Spin Me Round by Dead or Alive. Okay, I think that one was a little bit before my time. I don't quite remember all the lyrics for that one. But the prompt is a book that left you feeling confused. And for me, that was Daughters of Eve by Lewis Duncan. And what left me feeling confused about this is why it gets such great reviews. And it is billed as being such a great feminist book because I thought it was shit. I just don't get it because all of the women in here are awful. They are just god-awful people. And I would not want to use them as a role model for me in my life or my daughters, because being a feminist doesn't mean you're a bitch or that you shit on other women. And that's what they did in this book. Or you shit on men, because they did that too. It was just awful, and it just left me confused as to why people think this is a good book and bill it as such a great feminist book. So this next prompt is one that I think everybody knows this song, and that is Don't Stop Believing by Journey. All right, and the question that goes along with this song is a book that you found to be inspiring. And I recently listened to Fell Until You Don't by Bobby Bones, and it has been such an inspirational reading for me that I actually play back some of his suggestions, and in my, I reiterate those in my mind quite a bit, and really have tried to remember to live by his formula, I guess, and to enact some of the things that he suggests to help keep you on track and keep your goals front and foremost in your vision, really. So this prompt number 3 is Karma Chameleon by Culture Club. All right, that's always a fun song. The prompt that goes with this is a book featuring an unreliable narrator. Now I actually don't enjoy unreliable narrator books. They are probably one of my least favorite books, but this is one of my favorite books, and that is Allegedly by Tiffany Jackson. This book follows along a teenager who was convicted of murder when she was just 10 years old, and you are it follows the case. She's trying to get her conviction thrown out because she suddenly finds herself pregnant and wants to keep the baby, but her murder conviction was that she killed an infant when she was 10 years old. So you follow along her story, and you never are quite sure until the very end if she's telling the truth or if the case is telling the truth, what she was convicted for. So it is very well done, and I was on this edge of my seat the entire time I was reading this book. All right, so the next prompt is Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Right, that's a long intro there for that video, or that song. So the prompt for this that goes with this song is a book about overcoming the odds. And for this book, I chose All of the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. Now, this book follows two main characters that battle depression and suicidal thoughts and loss on all kinds of different levels. And while one of these characters does not overcome the odds, the other one does. And without saying too much more, because it would spoil the book, if you read this one, make sure you have a box of Kleenex handy. I bawled and bawled and bawled for the last half of the last 3 or 4 chapters of this book for sure. So our next prompt is Never Give You Up by Rick Astley. All right, that is one of those other really well-known popular songs from the 80s. I think we all know how that one goes. So the prompt that goes along with this one is a book with a loyal protagonist. Now for this one, I chose The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. This book is a retelling of 1001 Nights. So I don't want to get too spoilery or anything, but the protagonist doesn't actually start out to be very loyal, but about halfway through the book, she learns what the deal is with Khalid killing all of his wives, his previous wives, and so she gets a little bit of sympathy for him and then becomes extremely loyal to him through this book and the second book in this duology. So I really enjoyed this story, but I really enjoyed the telling of the 1001 Nights and also the Aladdin story as well, which is featured in this a little bit as well. It's mentioned. So, yeah, loyal protagonist. So this next prompt is Girl, You Know It's True by Milli Vanilli. forgot how that started with all of the kind of fast-paced, sing-songy rap, and whew, long time. Threw me back to my high school day, or my junior high days, though. So the prompt for this one is a nonfiction book or memoir that turned out to not to be true, which cracks me up for this prompt. But I don't have one for this one, guys. The only book that I know / memoir that I know that has been published and turned out to not be true is 1,000 Pieces, 1,000,000 Pieces, or something like that. And I haven't read it. I do think I own it somewhere around here. Or at one point I've owned it and I've gotten rid of it, but I haven't read it because I found out it wasn't true. And why do I want to read a book that's supposed to be true and it turned out that he was making the whole shit up the whole time? So, all right. So the next prompt is "Wake Me Up" by Wham. Feel my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can tell where the journey will end, but I know where it starts. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Well, life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. So that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over. When I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself love. Didn't know I was wrong. So wake me up when it's all over. When I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself love. Didn't know I was wrong. One of my favorite songs there. Great song from the 80's. So the prompt that goes along with this is a book that makes you feel good because it's upbeat. And for this book, I chose a YA series that I recently read, and that was the first book in that series is Model Misfits by Holly Smell. I never can remember how to pronounce her name. But this is just a cute little story about a girl who is kind of a misfit and breaks out into the modeling world and her journey through that and her friends, and it's kind of heartwarming. And the main character in that series is a pretty upbeat kind of girl, and following her shenanigans was real fun. This next prompt is "Every Day I Write the Book" by Elvis Costello, and I have to admit I'm not really familiar with this song. Okay, so the prompt that goes with this song is a biography or autobiography about an author, and I've only read one of those, so I'm going to talk about A Movable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. This book I picked up because Dalton at Strip Cover Lit raves about it, and it sounded interesting based off of what how he talked about it. And then the Strip Cover Lit actually decided to do a read-along with it recently for February. I didn't get to it in February. I started it, got a couple pages in, and I was like, this is really dry, and I don't connect with the writing style, and February was crazy for me, so I stepped back from it. But then I picked up the audiobook because I wanted to finish it, and about halfway through, fell in love with this book. It gets immensely better, and listening to the shenanigans that him and Ezra Pound and F. Scott Fitzgerald got up to was really enjoyable. It cracked me up the entire time, and I really had a enjoyable last half of this book. So I'm glad I listened to it. Now, it is kind of a fictionalized autobiography of his time. He even says that throughout this, or at the end of this, that it is not a truly historical account, but it's mostly true. All right, this next song is the pinnacle of my junior high and high school life. I love this band. I have seen them multiple times in concert, And my youngest daughter has gone with me to several of these concerts as well because she's a big 80s fan. And we love Poison. And this is Talk Dirty to Me by Poison.
Hello? Just a minute. Cindy, it's for you. I got it, Mom. That boy sounds like such a nice boy.
Hit it, CC.
All right, I could listen to that entire song without fail. In fact, it's on my iPod all the time anyway. Have their entire collection because that's just the way I am with Poison. So the prompt for this one is a book with naughty bits. So I know y'all think I'm nice and sweet and cute and innocent, but I could have picked from a lot of books that I've read that have naughty bits because I do enjoy books with naughty bits. But the one that I'm going to go with for this prompt is Lover at Last by J.R. Ward. And this is like, I don't know, the 7th or 8th book in the series. It is my favorite book of her series. This one follows Blay and Quinn, their story. Naughty bits. In fact, this entire series has naughty bits all throughout of it. And yeah, it's a paranormal romance, heavy on both aspects. So yeah, naughty bits. That's all I got to say. This series. This is the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, by the way. So if you enjoy naughty bits and mixed in with some paranormal with a good storyline, because this is has a very good continuing storyline in it. I think there's like 14 or 15 books at this point, but most of them are pretty engaging. So this last prompt is by the iconic Prince and the Revolution, or the artist formerly known as Prince. I'm not sure what he was being called when he ended his career. This is Purple Rain by Prince. All right, so the prompt that goes along with that song is a book about the end of the world. I read a lot of post-apocalyptic books. It's one of my favorite genres, but I think that the majority of what I read, besides being post-apocalyptic, is really more dystopian after post-apocalyptic events. So the one that I'm going to go with is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. It is not one of my favorite books. I've talked about it, but it definitely fits this prompt. It is very post-apocalyptic. I don't jive with his writing style at all. There was a lot of stuff that I felt was left out of this story that he wrote. Just did not connect with it at all, but it is definitely post-apocalyptic, and it is the journey of a father and a son on the road to somewhere after the world has ended by some kind of event. We don't know if that's a nuclear event or a supervolcano or anything like that. Just based off of some of the story, that things that were included in it, I think it was probably volcanic and not nuclear. But nonetheless, the world, as most people know it, has ended. So that is all of the answers to the Literary Mixtape 80s edition tag. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you will go check out Amy's original video that is linked down below. I am not going to tag anybody in this because a lot of people have already been tagged and a lot of people have done it. So if you are one of those people who have not been tagged yet and you have not done it and you are interested in doing it, then consider yourself tagged. So that's the end of this video. You all know what to do at this point. Be sure and like. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And leave me a comment down below. It can be a comment about anything in the video, or just a simple hello, or just an emoji of some sort, whatever your heart desires. That just allows me to interact with you in the comments and know that you have been watching my videos. And until next Tuesday, I'll talk to you later. Bye.